KIPP was created back in 1993 and 1994 by Dave Levin and myself when we were two Teach for America Corps members who got very frustrated as the level of impact we could make as fifth grade teachers in the traditional public school system. If I could point to the brilliant business plan where we strategically looked at where we should start and how we should grow the schools, I would love to do so. We took a much more pragmatic approach to where we were starting KIPP. We were fifth grade teachers back in 1993 and 1994, so that's what we started with. We started with fifth grade. And then we thought about what we could do to have a long-term impact. While we wanted to go really quickly, we realized we should go as fast as we can and as slow as we must. And so starting with fifth grade and 1 year at a time, keeping our children and growing it one grade year after year after year until they got to and through college was how we decided to go about doing it. Because keeping our promises to the children that we get them to and through college is what drove everything. At first, we were pointing the finger at the middle schools and the high schools for why they weren't continuing to do with the children what we did in our fifth grade classroom in the elementary school. We realized all that finger pointing wasn't adding to any solution, it was contributing to the problem. And if we really wanted to point the finger at who was to blame and who could fix something, we should point the finger at ourselves. In the spirit of why not, why couldn't we do more as a fifth grade teacher? Why couldn't we increase the amount of time we had the kids in school every day, every week, and every year? And why did fifth grade have to be the last year we had an impact on our children? Why couldn't we figure out a way to start a school where we could keep them year after year after year? And when we start asking why not, when we start pointing the finger at ourselves, that's when the Knowledge is Power program and KIPP Academy was born. At KIPP, we have two main objectives. First, because we believe that promises to children are sacred, our main objective is to take our current children and do whatever it takes to help them climb that mountain to and through college so that we can deliver on our promises we made when we signed them up around their kitchen table in their living room when they came to KIPP charter schools. And that drives us every single day. In addition, we're on a mission to take our kids' success and prove that's not an anomaly, that there's not something special in the water in Southwest Houston or the South Bronx, New York, for why our kids are achieving and going to and through college at this level, and that the rest of the public education system can do this as well. We believe the actual proves the possible. And so that drives us every day to get our kids to and through college and use that as success to help prove what the rest of the system can and should be doing as well. We do not believe in zero sum when it comes to success. There's not a limited ball of success that all the children in the United States, or all the children in the world for that matter, can try to get their own piece of. There's room for all of our children to be successful in school and life. And so we're trying to get our kids to get their slice of this achievement. At the same time, because there's plenty to go around, whatever we can do to help the rest of the children in the traditional public education system or in other charters or in the private school system, we are eager to share what we've learned can work to help all our children. I think it's because it's part of our DNA as Teach for America alumni. We believe that we are all trying to do this work so that one day all children have the ability to achieve an excellent education and have the freedom to do in this world what they want to do. And that's what we're working towards. At the base of how we leverage what works at KIPP to help us continue to have more success with our kids, as well as help other people achieve great things with their kids, it goes back to the basic concept and the basic recipe that great teaching and more of it is the basic recipe in any school. I don't care where it is, I don't care what type of school. It's great teaching and more of it. And so therefore, we think about all the time, how do we leverage great teaching and more of it to the greater good? Great teaching, that means we need to keep working on teacher recruitment and teacher development. More of it, we need to keep figuring out what do we do to make our longer school day, school week, and school year sustainable over a long period of time. Not just a flash in the pan for a year or a couple years, but we take a 20-year view. We want our schools to keep adding value year after year and decade after decade to truly have the mindset shift in this country, so we believe that the success in KIPP is not an anomaly. It's going to be happening across the board. And lastly, we also leverage what type of teaching we're doing in the classrooms. As we believe at KIPP, it's all about work hard, be nice. So academics are certainly a core aspect of what we need to do to prepare the kids to be successful to and through college, but they also need to be surrounded by character traits. Otherwise, those academic skills are useless. So what are we doing to teach be nice? What are we doing to teach resiliency? What are we doing to teach the social, emotional intelligence our children need to be successful in college and to be successful later in life as contributing adults in our society? When we think about what it means to teach character, what it means to teach, work hard, be nice, assign yourself, don't take shortcuts, that can't happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays at character class at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's got to be interwoven into everything that happens throughout the school day, school week, and school year. So again, it starts with great teaching and more of it. Our teachers have to become great at learning for the teachable moments, not just in math and science and reading and history, but in character as well. What are we doing to focus on all the daily choices our children have to make good choices or make bad choices for themselves and as a member of a peer group? And then what are the teachers doing to focus on both types of choices, the good choices, and celebrate those good choices, and make sure that those good choices are cemented in what our children are going to do again and again and again? And what are we doing to help our children unpack and reflect on the bad choices so the next time they're in a similar situation, they're going to do better the next time? So the way we take our new teachers at KIPP and teach them what we mean by work hard, be nice, and what it means to have the responsibility on their shoulders to model this, we use a couple things. First, I use a quote by James Baldwin, which reads, "Children have never been good at listening to their elders, but they never fail to imitate them." And so to help illustrate that point, we explain the Gandhi sugar story to our teachers. And the story goes like this. A woman brings her son to Gandhi and needs his help. And she asks Gandhi, "My son's eating way too much sugar. Can you please stop him from eating so much sugar?" And Gandhi says, "Sure, come back in a week. I'll be more than happy to help." So she goes all the way back home, long journey, waits a week, comes all the way back to see him, says, "Gandhi, I've waited a week. Now will you please help?" And he says, "Sure." And he looks at the boy and says, "Son, please stop eating so much sugar." And the mom asks, "That's it?" And Gandhi says, "Yeah, that's it." And mom wonders, "Well, if that's all you were going to do, how come you couldn't have done that a week ago?" And Gandhi replies, "Because a week ago, I had not given up sugar yet." Be the change we wish to see in the world. And that's a great example of what it means to live that Baldwin quote and make sure we realize that we are always on, we are always modeling for the children so that we don't just expect them to read something in a book and work hard, be nice off of that, but they're seeing what it looks like when it's played out in the real world in action. I think what makes KIPP effective are the core beliefs and values that lead us and guide us on everything we do and every decision we make. We have those core beliefs, such as promises to children are sacred, and that freedom through education is the main objective of what we want to give our children. Our sacred promises stem from our first meeting with our children and their parents. Even with a long wait list that we have today, we still visit the homes, and we sit down with the kids and parents, and we bring our Commitment to Excellence form, which is the document that outlines all the promises that we, the teachers, are making to the kids and parents. And we also ask the kids and parents to make the promises back to us. So the Commitment to Excellence form contains the promises we're making to one another on the hours and the behavior expectations, but then also has lines such as, "We will work, think, and behave in the best way we know how, and we will do whatever it takes to help our fellow teammates learn as well." And that's a promise that the students make. It's also a promise that the adults, the teachers make as well. And that's where we hold it very sacred. Because we realize when we're sitting in the living room or the kitchen table and the parents are signing that Commitment to Excellence form, which is the only document they have to sign to get their kids to get into KIPP, we realize at that moment we are on the hook. Because our parents are giving us their most prized possession in this world, their children. And when we leave that house or that apartment, we feel the weight of that promise on our shoulders because the parents have just given us their hopes, dreams, and aspirations for the people in this world they love more than anything else. And what are we going to do with those hopes, dreams, and aspirations? Are we going to deliver, or are we going to have them be dashed? We're going to deliver. After the initial home visit, our relationship with the parents continues to grow over time. As we tell our parents on that first home visit, we are partners in this together. They're not giving us full authority and freedom to do whatever we want. They're still our parents' children, right? And at the same time, we're not expecting to rely on the parents to do everything for us. We have to step up as teachers as well. And so we believe we are partners together in helping mold and shape their children, who are now our children, so that they can achieve their hopes, dreams, and aspirations for what they want in this world. And if we're partners, that's a nice word, but what does that mean in actions? It means if someone is your partner, you're spending a lot of time together. You're getting to know them, they're getting to know you, you discuss solutions together, you discuss problems together, you celebrate the successes together, you figure out how to overcome the challenges together. And we are constantly talking about that partnership we have with our parents so that we collectively can set ourselves up for success to deliver on those promises to the children. Our short-term success with our children is focused on the great teaching and more of it, and it's also focused on academics and character. Short-term, what are our children doing, growing in their academics? When we think about every day, every week, and every year, where were they when they started? Where are they now? Are their math skills improving? Are their reading skills improving? Is their knowledge of history improving? Are they better scientists? Are they better musicians? Are they better artists? Are they better athletes? And we measure the growth they're making. And we think about that growth character-wise as well. Are they making more independent choices? Are they making better choices on how they treat themselves and they treat the people around them? And that's what we use in the short term to make sure they're making the progress we need them to make for our long-term objectives, which is at the end of the day, we want our kids to climb the mountain to and through college, and from there, ultimately have the freedom to do in this world whatever they want to do. And for most of the things they want to do, that does require college, which is why we're so obsessive about college. But certainly, some of our things our kids want to do don't require college. But at the end of the day, that's not for us to decide in K-12. We want them to have the freedom to do whatever they want to do. And so when our kids climb to the mountain to the top, they know to enjoy the view, then reach back down, help other kids climb as well. That's why we have our former students today. There are teachers, there are accountants, there are board members, there are college counselors, there are soccer coaches. They're doing so many things, both not just simply to help themselves and their families, but they're giving back to help the next generation of KIPPsters as well. And that leads to our values of commit, enjoy, excel, persist, and honor. And we think about those beliefs and those values in everything we do. Yes, we need the technical skills as well. We have to have great teaching, we need to have great finances, we need to have great operations, but those aren't built on a platform of very solid, believable, everyone on the same page beliefs and values. Then this is long-term going to spin out of control. And we don't want it to spin out of control because we've made some long-term, very sacred promises to our children of what we're going to do when they're 3 or 4 years old, to how their lives are going to be impacted 20, 30 years later. And we need to be set for success to deliver on those promises. At KIPP, there are 6 questions which we ask ourselves every day, every week, and every year to focus on the metrics to make sure we're delivering on our sacred promises to the children. First, we ask ourselves, are we serving the kids who need us the most? Given the fact that only 8% of low-income kids in this country graduate from college, we want to make sure that we're primarily serving children from low-income communities that don't have other options in school. Secondly, we ask ourselves if the children are staying with us. We could boast 100% college matriculation rate if we look at our high school kids, but that's not telling the full story, because in a lot of schools, the same kids that graduate from high school are not the same kids that started at the high school or earlier in their education careers. So we want to track longitudinally to make sure that the kids we start with are the same kids that we're helping get to and through college, and we're losing very few children. The third question, the third metric we ask ourselves is, are children making the academic gains every given year they need to be successful to go to and through college? We don't want to wait till the end of 12th grade to find out if if our children are set for success and prepared for college. So we need to make sure we have metrics in place along the way every year to track their progress. The fourth question, which is the big one for us, is are our kids going to and through college? Conversely, it doesn't really matter if our kids have a great 5th or 6th grade year if at the end of the day they haven't learned what they need to learn in school and in life to be successful in college and in life at the end of the day. Our last two questions are about the organization. We ask ourselves if we're building a sustainable people model where great teachers come into the organization and they don't exit very quickly, but we get to capitalize on terrific talent that's there to serve the children year after year and after year. And lastly, we ask ourselves if we're building a sustainable financial model where we have the resources every year to deliver on those sacred promises, and we don't have to scramble around to make ends meet. Instead, we have a sustainable model set up where we can focus instead on the kids and on the instruction and delivering on those sacred promises. KIPP measures success daily, weekly, monthly, annually in the amount of growth our kids make in their academics and their character skills to be set up for success for our long-term metrics with what are we doing to get them to climb that mountain, to go to and through college, and eventually have the freedom to do in this world whatever they want to do to ensure that they're going to be happy and successful and productive members of society today. For the short-term metrics, as public schools, our children are taking the same state achievement tests as the rest of the public education system. So we are making sure our children are hitting the low bar of passing those minimal skills tests. We're making sure our kids are showing growth as they're passing them by higher and higher rates. We're making sure our children have better and better attendance rates and they're coming to school not just 90 or 95%, but 98, 99, 100% of the time to really make good on their personal commitment and their personal sacrifices to their future. We're starting to figure out how we actually measure character, and we can deliver that information to the children themselves and their parents so they can see the growth in their own maturity of character skills as well. Because we have these long-term metrics and goals of getting our kids to and through college, we're not focused simply on what it takes to be a smart and talented 3rd grader or 5th grader or 7th grader. We're thinking about what it takes to be successful in their college freshman English seminar class many years down the road. And we think about that from the perspective of the academics and from the perspective of the character as well. And so one of the KIPP-isms, one of the quotes we use with the kids is assign yourself. While we have the ability to be there and hold the children's hand when they're in 3rd or 5th or 7th grade today to help them climb the mountain to and through college, we remind them that we're not going to be holding their hand in their college freshman English seminar class. So at some point along the way, they're going to have to learn how to be their own best advocate. They're going to have to learn that that voice inside their head truly has to be a voice inside their head, and they can't wait for their teachers to give that voice to tell them what to do and what not to do. And while it doesn't come instantly, over time, we start to develop that voice as we become productive adults, and that's what we're trying to instill in our children. One of the aspects that makes KIPP unique, and maybe one of the things that also people don't know about KIPP, is why we're so relentlessly focused on getting our kids to and through college, which obviously points to a focus on the academics. We realize that our children are not going to want to come to a school for 10 hours a day and over 200 days a year if it's all skill and drill and all academics, which is why we also invest and think about the J factor, the joy factor. So as much as we're pushing the kids hard, we also think, what are we going to do to make each and every day fun and enjoyable for our children? And while for a few kids out there, they wake up in the morning and say, today is geometry class, yes, that's rare. And for most children, it's today is the football game, yes. Today is the recital, yes. Today is the school musical, yes. So what are we doing to have all the athletics and all the fine arts that are really going to flush out the joy and the passion that's not just in our kids' brains, but in our children's hearts as well, so that they're going to enjoy themselves at school, and ultimately, those type of activities are also necessary to help them be well-rounded adults and get to and through college as well. Given the fact that children are so different and they have many different interests, we believe that while we can't offer everything to everyone, we do have to have a core group of sports and a core group of fine arts that is really going to allow our children's talents to come out and allow them to have fun every single day. Yes, we have a football team. Yes, we have a soccer team and a basketball team. And by the way, we believe in equal opportunity. I remember in one of our early years, our middle linebacker on our football team was Griselda Hernandez. She hit a boy so hard in a game, his helmet came off. Still one of the best hits I ever saw. I hope one day she plays for the Chicago Bears. Beyond that, with our sports, we also have a band. We also have an orchestra at our schools. We have school plays. We have a debate team. We have a visual arts group. And those, again, because not all our kids are going to all want to play sports, what are we doing to mine in our kids the terrific talents and the passion they have for activities outside the core academics that's going to allow them to flourish on a daily basis in our schools? When I think about KIPP's major accomplishments, it certainly starts with the children. The fact that now we have children that we got to know when they were just 9 or 10 years old, and today they are adults in their mid-20s, some approaching age 30. They're productive members of society. They're doing great things in this world, and they're giving back to the next generation of KIPPsters. I think that in of itself is the most major accomplishment we've had. In addition, because one of our goals is not simply just to get our kids to and through college, but do it at scale in a way where we can have a major productive influence on the rest of the public education system. The fact that we see now other districts and other states starting to push it as well and wonder, can they increase their school day, week, and year? Can they stop at the low bar of minimal skills tests, and should they start measuring what it takes to get their kids to go to and through college? And should they start pushing their teachers, their principals, their schools, their districts, being held accountable to hit that higher bar? That is an enormous source of pride to us at KIPP, and we see that as another great accomplishment, because ultimately it's not just about our KIPPsters, it's about all our children. I think the biggest challenge that KIPP faced historically is the same challenge we face today, and that are the beliefs and mindsets that are out there. The brutal fact is that today, at a societal level, we do not collectively believe that every child from any zip code can succeed in school and can succeed in life as well as every other child from any other zip code. And as long as we continue to not believe that concept, we're not going to, as a society, put forth and we're not going to have the courage to have the political will and the ganas and the energy it needs to do everything necessary to get all of our kids to be successful in school and life, which is why we need more success, continued success, to continue to shift the belief and mindset, because that's the critical path. Once we start to believe it's possible collectively across the board, then we're going to start asking, well, why are we letting it not happen? And at that point, we're going to have the courage to do the difficult choices and the difficult sacrifices we need to truly make this have an impact on all of our children in the entire country today. Now, along the way, every given day, we do face other obstacles. In the state of Texas, charter schools do not get any facility funding help, and public education just got cut by nearly 10%. And so there's a financial challenge of, do we have enough operating dollars to deliver on these sacred promises every given day? And we also need to raise the capital to have school buildings for our children, especially with the added challenge that there's 6,000 children on our wait list right now. So to have more kids coming in, that means we need to raise more operating dollars. We need to raise more capital dollars to have more seats for all the children who want to come to KIPP and have a great education and have a great life. Another challenge we face at KIPP certainly is our people. As we've talked about before, we believe in great teaching and more of it. And for there to be great teaching, that means there's great teachers and there's great school leaders cultivating those great teachers. And so when I think about the challenge of what it means to continue to look for more and more and more great teachers and great leaders, and when we find them, what it means to get them to stay over a long period of time and work incredibly hard to have the actual proof of possible and go against the odds that today, unfortunately, are still stacked against us from a societal perspective, that is not an easy thing to do. Today, we do not have enough great teachers and great leaders to put in all of our schools across the country. And so as we keep growing, we put more and more pressure on the need to not only find more great teachers and leaders, but start to home grow them and cultivate them ourselves so we have enough, not just for where we are today, but where we're going in the future as we keep growing to serve more children. KIPP is on a mission to have the actual prove the possible. With additional resources, we would be in a position to be able to make good on more promises to more children, to shrink that wait list that's in the tens of thousands of children around the country, allow them to come to KIPP and get a great education as well. And by teaching and reaching more children, collectively we'll have the success to start to prove what should be happening across the board. So when we think about the resources we need, along having more startup funds for more schools, more capital to have more school buildings. If we're going to have more schools, there needs to be additional operating dollars to close that gap that exists between the money that we receive and the traditional public school system. So with additional resources, we'll be in a position to reach more children and from there prove what should be happening across the board. Having additional resources allows us to also continue to operate in the and instead of the either or. Too many schools today are making these tough choices between, do we try to raise the achievement levels in reading, or do we allow foreign language and fine arts and athletics to flourish in our building? And especially in state budget crisis environment, they're also thinking, what's the first thing that gets cut? Well, we can't cut reading, so we're going to cut those foreign languages and those fine arts and those athletics. So those additional resources allow us to keep the and. We will do better with our children in reading. We will do better with our children in math. And we'll also give them time every day to spend time doing the athletics and the fine arts and the foreign language and the history and the science so that they do get that well-rounded education they need, not to do well in that one grade level, but do well in life. I think the biggest gap that KIPP could fill in the country today is actually the achievement gap. The fact that 80% of our top quartile income children in the country go to and through college compares with only 8% of low-income children in this country today. That gap of 80% to 8% is unacceptable, it's un-American, and we need to do something about it. And if KIPP can keep growing and help more and more children climb the mountain to and through college, and as an influencer, both motivate and prove the possible to other charters, other private schools, and the rest of the traditional public education system, we start to close that gap, and that's the gap that counts, because that's the gap that's preventing children in this country from having the freedom to do in this world what they want to do. You know, in NASCAR, when the people who fill up the gas tanks shave a second off their time in pit row, the tire changers have to shave a second off their time as well. Innovation leads to innovation. And because at KIPP we wake up every day trying to figure out how do we find a better way to teach our kids what they need to learn in that grade, and eventually have more of our kids go to college, and eventually have more of our kids go through college, we're always tinkering with what we can be doing to build that better mousetrap. And so I think of things like innovations on teacher training. What are we doing to train our rookie teachers to become effective teachers as quickly as possible? And once they become effective teachers, what are we doing on ongoing professional development to develop more master teachers that we need in this profession across this country? I also think about our leaders. We need to have our principals become great school leaders. And so what are we doing to equip our principals with the leadership and management skills they need to be set for success and run a terrific school? And lastly, I think about what we're teaching our children. Yes, they need to learn the academics, but it's work hard and it's be nice. And if they're going to go to and through college and have a great life, not only are they learning all the academic skills, they're also learning the character strengths we need to instill in them to be set up for success along the way. And so those are some of the innovations that I hope that we're going to be able to work on in the future that will benefit not just KIPP, but all of public education.